Ignoring this will cost you. And yes, I'm talking to you. And this might be the most important video that I've ever made. And it might be the most important video that you watch this entire month. And no, it's not a mix tip. It's not some piece of like fancy new gear or some plugin that you need to go buy right now. This is way more important than that. So please take this advice. And this kind of advice is something that we get all the time. This is definitely something that you've heard before, but it's the kind of advice that we sometimes ignore. Like when our dentist tells us to floss twice a day. Do we know that we should do it? Yes. Do we do it? Not always. And as humans, risk assessment is not always our best skill. And sometimes it takes something terrible happening to us or someone we know to make us do the right thing. And in this instance, I learned from someone else's mistakes. Now, there is a band that I was friends with, and they were in the middle of making a 5-song EP. They had recorded drums, they had recorded bass, they had recorded guitar. They were making great progress. And then something terrible happened. The studio that they were working at took a big lightning strike and the power was totally fried in the entire studio. Lucky for the studio, only one piece of gear was really damaged, but unfortunately for the studio, it was their computer, and their main hard drive got absolutely fried in this storm. And unfortunately for them, they did not have any active backups going. So after that storm, all the music they were working on for that band was totally wiped, which meant they had to re-record everything for free and pay for their computer to get fixed. So that's what takes us to tip number 1 in this video that you must be following, especially if you work on your own music or other people's music, and that is to have 3 places where all of your files can be found. Now, number 1 is obvious. If your computer has a hard drive, your work is going to be on that drive. Number 2 is going to be a solid state drive like this one. We're done with the mechanical hard drives with the spinning disks. Those are too prone to breakages. So get yourself a solid state hard drive like this one. And number 3 is going to be a cloud backup. A cloud backup is super important because if this bad boy gets stolen, there's a chance that it was in the same backpack as this bad boy, which means this backup, totally worthless. So you need to have a 3rd place where all your files live in the cloud. Now, the way I do this is super easy, totally hassle-free. I have the Dropbox desktop app on my computer, and all of my sessions live in my Dropbox. So the second that I start working on something, it's automatically backed up in the cloud. All of my sessions, all my audio files, all my bounces, everything is right there in Dropbox. So number 1, back up your files. Now, number 2 on our list that you have to start doing is using a real actual UPS battery backup surge protector. Now, you probably have one of those rack-mounted power conditioners in your studio rack, but not every single thing in your studio is plugged into it. So getting a real surge protector, a real UPS, and plugging everything into that, including your power conditioner, is the only way to really protect all your gear, your monitors, your TV or your monitor in the studio, your computer, all that stuff. So get a real battery backup, a real surge protector. So if lightning strikes or something goes wrong with your power at your studio or in your house, you are not going to be totally done for. And last but certainly not least, whether or not you've got iLocks, hard drives, laptops, all that stuff, if any of your hard drives, your computers, your studio gear leaves your house or your studio, grab yourself an AirTag just like this one, throw it in the bag, hide it in the case somewhere, because you need to be protected from losses, and having something like this in there is perfect because if you leave it behind or someone steals it, you at least have an idea of where it is. So please take this seriously, take the time, invest in protecting your gear and protecting yourself from losing gear, because the last thing that you need is to be halfway through a project and re-recording the entire thing over again because you lost your hard drives, you lost your laptop, power fried your computer, whatever it is. Always have backups, always have systems in place to make sure that your gear and your music is protected. As always, thanks for watching. If you're into music production videos, go ahead and subscribe because I drop a new one every single Friday, and I'll see you next week.